All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Three times the thunder crossed the sky. Three times the rain came pouring down. The streets became like rivers through every part of town. Photographs and old keepsakes were carried by the tide. But while the water filled our homes, hope stood by our side. Through the darkness came a light, 1,000 hearts refused to hide. When the waters rose, we rose together, hand in hand through the stormy weather. Friends and strangers answered the call. Of the love that neighbors made. Firefighters, police and medics working through the longest night. Veterans and volunteers came to help us make things right. With shovels, pumps and open arms, they walked through every door. They lifted what was far too heavy and carried it once more. No one asked who you might be. They only saw a family in need. When the waters rose, we rose together, hand in hand through the stormy weather. Friends and strangers answered the call, standing beside us, one and all. Torn apart, love came rushing from every heart. The rain took much, but it could not take the strength of the love that neighbors made. For every photograph we lost, for every memory swept away, someone came and stood beside us, helping us face another day. From St. Catherine's to beyond Niagara, compassion traveled every mile. Through tears, exhaustion, mud and sorrow, a helping hand could bring a smile. When the waters rose, we rose together, stronger than the stormy weather. Every hero who answered the call reminded us that love conquers all. Though the road ahead may still be long, together we will carry on. The rain took much, but it could not take the hope and love that neighbors make. To every heart and every hand, to all who helped us make a stand. Our homes may change, but one truth remains. Love will rise above the rain. Thank you, friends. Thank you, neighbors. St. Catherine's will rise again.
And that is When the Waters Rose in St. Catharines, a dedication to all the volunteers and wonderful people who helped so many here in St. Catharines after the horrific rainstorms that we had a couple of weeks ago. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in St. Catharines on the CanCom Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. Just a reminder that all the songs that you hear here on the X Zone are exclusive to the X Zone, and if you'd like more information, all you need to do is go to rammusic.ca. That's RAMMUSIC.ca, and all the songs are performed by Ram. X Zone Nation, tonight we welcome a good friend of the X Zone. He is an author, researcher, and investigator whose curiosity has taken him deep into the realms of mystery, metaphysics, and the unexplained. Jeff Danelek is the creator behind Our Curious World, a platform dedicated to exploring ghosts, UFOs, reincarnation, cryptids, spirituality, and many unanswered questions that continue to fascinate humanity. With a body of work spanning books, articles, and decades of research, Jeff approaches the paranormal with a rare blend of open-mindedness and critical inquiry. Yeah, right. All depends on how close he gets to Bigfoot, I guess. Whether he's examining what happens after we die, investigating the possibility of extraterrestrial visitation, or analyzing the nature of consciousness itself, Jeff invites readers and listeners to think deeper, question assumptions, and entertain the extraordinary. Tonight we're going to be diving into some of the biggest mysteries he's explored and gain insight to why these topics continue to captivate millions upon millions upon millions around the world. Joining me now is Allan Danelek, whose website is ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff, welcome back to the X Zone.
Hey, Rob. Great to be back. Thanks for having me on.
Always a great pleasure, my friend. Hey, congratulations on your new book that's coming out, Ghosts Explained, and it's published by our friends at Llewellyn. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, back in 2004, I think, I did a book called The Case for Ghosts, and that went out of print about 10 years ago. And I got a hold of Llewellyn, and I said, hey, you guys interested in maybe doing an updated version of that book? And they went for it. So it's got a lot of the original material that was in the first book, but it's also got a lot of new stuff. And it's just been kind of an extensive rework, and I've really enjoyed doing it.
Well, congratulations, Jeff. You're a hard worker, a dedicated researcher, and I'm always so happy to hear that you're actually, continuing your work and getting the knowledge and the information that you've gathered in such a professional manner. So congratulations again.
Well, thanks. Actually, I was out of publishing for quite a while, so it's kind of nice to get my feet back into it.
Jeff, for the first listeners who may be joining you tonight here on the X Zone, tell us a little bit about who Jeff Allan Danelek is.
Oh, all right. I'll do my best. So I'm basically a graphic designer by profession. I recently retired. And I picked up writing probably about 25 years ago. And I'm kind of a late bloomer, I guess. And I'm a Navy veteran. What else am I? I'm just a curious person, and I've always really wondered about these things ever since I was a kid, and it's kind of fun to be able to turn that into books and podcasts and things like that in later life.
As an author, Jeff, how do you decide what mysteries or subjects are worthy of the deep investigation that you put these topics through?
Well, really, I just kind of go by instinct. If something is interesting to me for a while, I'll just search the heck out of it. I look at trends too a little bit. I want to see what is kind of happening right now, what's kind of popular. But I don't always follow that. It really has to be something that I haven't explored before, or I can find a new angle to it, and then I can really turn it into something useful.
What do you think draws people so strongly after all these years to the paranormal and the supernatural?
I think people just realize that there's more to life than just this one earthly existence. You know, you're just born, you live your life, and you die, and that's it. People have always been interested in the bigger questions. You know, what's really out there? What happens when we really die? Is there an afterlife? Are there ghosts? Are there demons and angels and all of these things? And it's always fun to explore those questions. And I think it shows that we just are not willing to accept the standard materialist answer that this life is all there is.
You know, speaking about ghosts, Jeff, you've written extensively about ghosts. What evidence do you personally find most compelling that something actually survives physical death?
Well, I think it all comes down to the question of the origin of consciousness. Where does consciousness come from? And that's been the hard question that scientists have been trying to answer for years. I really understand the whole idea here is that consciousness isn't something that originates within the brain. The brain is actually a receiver of it. So I see consciousness as a field that we kind of tap into with our brains. And since each brain has a unique pattern to it, it interprets that consciousness individually as individual personalities. To me, if that to me is the biggest evidence of a post-mortem existence. Ghosts, I think, are just one manifestation of that.
When do you think consciousness actually starts in the human body, or in the human mind, I should say?
Well, as the brain develops in utero, I think it eventually develops a capacity to serve as a receiver. But I think that I think when you're born, you're conscious, but that consciousness manifests itself as a personality as you mature through childhood into adolescence and finally adulthood. And it's constantly changing. Just because you pick up the radio signal one day one way, that doesn't mean you're going to have the same kind of reception all the time. You're going to change and grow over time. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it comes in progressively as you develop in the womb.
Exonation, our guest this hour is Jeff Danelek. He's the author of a new exciting book entitled Ghosts Explained, and Jeff and I will be back on the other side of this short break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology right here in the X Zone, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the CanCom Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220, who not only broadcast the X Zone every night, Monday through Friday, on the AM band at 1220, but they also stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. For more information about our guest this hour, Allan Danelek, visit his website, www.ourcuriousworld.com. And Jeff and I will be back after this short break. Don't go away.
Three times the thunder crossed the sky. Three times the rain came pouring down. The streets became like rivers through every part of town. Photographs and old keepsakes were carried by the tide. But while the water filled our homes, hope stood by our side. Through the darkness came one man, many dreams. I wrote my first story with a dream in my hand. Built a life one page at a time, one shot across the land. Every road I've traveled, every challenge I've faced, left another chapter that time could never erase. Every dream begins with a single spark of light. And every mountain conquered starts with one more fight. My name is Rob McConnell. This is who I am. An author writing stories with a purpose and a plan. A musician finding melodies that lift the human soul. A broadcaster bringing voices where the curious gather close. An artist with a vision, an inventor reaching far. A showrunner chasing excellence.
J. Allan Danelek is our special guest, and his website is www.ourcuriousworld.com. Jeff, let's talk about UFOs for a few minutes here. Do you believe Earth has been visited by ETs?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I think that they're still here. I think they observe us quite closely, actually. I don't think that every light in the sky is a flying saucer, but I do think that they're keeping tabs on us, seeing what we're up to.
What do you think is taking them so long to finally make full and, unconditional contact?
Well, I think that it would really kind of be a mistake to do that, honestly, because if we were studying an indigenous culture somewhere, the worst thing we could do is let them know we're watching them, because it changes the whole dynamics of what's happening. So I think they're hesitant in that respect to actually change to mess up with the experiment. Let me put it that way. But I also think that they can make themselves known in very subtle ways to the right people. And I think at some point they will finally let us know that they're out there, but it's going to be very subtle. It's not going to be flying saucers landing on the White House lawn or anything like that. It's going to be much, much more subtle than that.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that flying saucers would not, land on the White House lawn because there's no more place there.
Yeah, they tore it all up.
Yeah, they tore it all up, and mind you, that'd be a neat thing for President Trump to do is, put a flying saucer pad on top of the new, what's he building over there? A new ballroom.
Yeah. Well, I would actually think that's a great idea if they come and just take him back to his home planet.
They don't want him.
That's why they sent him here, I guess.
Nobody wants him. I am told by very good sources that God and the devil are having a shoving contest to see who takes him.
They might just reincarnate him. I don't know, as a janitor or something.
I could go so many ways with that, but I'm not going to. Speaking about UFOs, what are some of the most compelling and convincing UFO cases you've studied, Jeff?
Well, I think the evidence that's been presented by the military, the United States military, has been very compelling, because these are not just, people seeing things in the sky. They actually have it on video. They can catch on infrared. They've got radar returns. And these things are making maneuvers that, you couldn't make with a conventional aircraft today. So I think those are probably some of the strongest evidence out there, because it has so many multiple elements of confirmation to it rather than just a good story.
But here's something that I don't understand, Jeff. If these visitors have been able to travel across the universe, and to do that, they must be highly advanced technologically. If we can come out with stealth technology, why haven't they to the point where they go undetected if, in fact, they're there and if, in fact, they're studying us?
Well, I think the answer is in the question. I think that they do have stealth technology, which allows them to watch us. So I think that when they do appear, it's really more of a test. It's just to kind of get us used to the idea that they're there, see how we react to it. So I don't believe anyone accidentally sees a UFO. I think they actually intend to be seen periodically.
How do you see how the public has changed its perception of UFOs in recent years, Jeff?
Well, with all the Star Wars and all these different programs, Star Trek, people are much more open to the idea. I don't think there's too many people out there who don't believe that there's life out there in the universe somewhere. So I think that the idea that they are here is a lot of people are very open to that idea.
Yeah.
I've met very few people that were really adamantly opposed to the concept. Most people are like, yeah, well, let's see it.
Yeah. How about alien abductions? What's your take on that?
That's a little bit trickier area. A few years ago, I co-wrote a book with Stan Romanek, and he was an abductee. And I came away from that experience not really sure what I believed about it. There was a lot of evidence, but then there was a lot of like, I don't know about that. So I can see why that might be an element of their experiment. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do with it. And you don't know what different groups of aliens have up their sleeves. Some of them might have very different reasons for doing things than other groups do. So what my kind of take on it is I'm open to the possibility, but I'm just not 100% convinced that these are actually happening.
Well, what was the most intriguing part of Stan Romanek's alien abduction that you found when you were doing the book with him?
Well, I was interested in some of the post-abduction things that happened. Like he had blown out his knee, and he was all swollen, and it was in a cast, and he was going to go and have it operated on. And he apparently got abducted. Now, remember, he doesn't remember the abductions himself, so it's kind of curious. He doesn't have any memories of them, but he just finds himself standing outdoors, outside in the middle of the night, in his underwear, wondering how he got there. Anyway, they went to the doctor, and the knee was completely healed. The cast that he had been wearing on it was out in the yard, burned to a crisp. And those are the kinds of things that happen. You just got to kind of wonder what is going on here. I still to this day figure out how he could have done that. If he's pulling a hoax, and he has like the recordings of the doctors talking to him about this. So I just don't see how he hoaxed it if he did it.
Is it possible that? Well, here's the strange thing. How does he know he's been abducted if he has no recall?
Well, apparently they have ways of letting him know that they're doing this to him, but he doesn't remember the actual event.
So he hears voices in his head.
Well, I don't know if he got that, or I'd have to go back over my research and see how he got that information. But a lot of it, I think he was assuming it was them because of the other things that happened in the afterwards.
Such as?
Well, for example, if they didn't want him to take a particular medication, find the bottle of medication on his counter melted. The whole bottle is melted.
And did you see any of these melted bottles?
Well, he would have photographs of them. I didn't physically see the bottles in my hand.
I see.
But he was very good at recording a lot of this information. And, a lot of people say, well, he hoaxed the whole thing. But as I got to know the guy, he just didn't strike me as the type. Now, I could be fooled like anybody else can. But he didn't strike me as the type that really had the wherewithal to do this on this scale. But who knows?
Yeah. Did he have any recall of being up in a craft? Did he undergo any hypnosis to further investigate his alien abduction?
Yeah, there was a whole group of investigators that came along, and he went through hypnosis. He would channel these entities, apparently. And he would go on in great detail about what's happening. And it was always very fascinating to me. Nothing was really specific enough that you could double check it against anything, but it was really interesting. And these are people that were professionals, professional hypnotists, people like that, not just hobbyists that were investigating this. And it made a whole book out of it. And, if anybody's still interested, I think it's still out there under Llewellyn's banner. It was something that was very life-changing to me because I just could not figure out how this was happening, or if he was faking this, how he was doing it. It drove me nuts.
If the ETs are out there and if they are watching us after 2000, 2,000 years at least where there's mention of lights in the sky and visitations from those above, and in, very, very strange craft. 2,000 years and they still don't want to make their presence known to everybody? I find that a little strange.
Well, of course, there are stories of them appearing to ancient cultures. That's, there's a whole ancient aliens thing is all about that, where they apparently appeared to people in the past, gave them certain technologies, things of that nature. But I think you got to think about it like from an anthropologist standpoint. If you were going to travel to another planet that had a civilization on it, intelligent life, you would probably just want to watch and catalog it rather than interfere with it. Now, we might because we're humans, but other alien races might be a little bit more evolved than that and just kind of keep a hands-off approach for the most part. In fact, I think that there's a good chance that aliens are actually guarding us, making sure that more malevolent races out there don't get their hands on us. So we might even be under their protection.
Based on the experience that you have and the research you've done on UFOs, ETs, alien abductions, and so on, Jeff, do you think if the time came where there was going to be a nuclear exchange that would devastate this entire civilization that we call humanity, do you think they'd step in?
Boy, I don't know. That's a good question. I believe they probably would. I really do. I think if they could see that it's at that point that they may need to do something or else just watch the whole experiment go up in smoke. I really think they would do it. But again, that's just an opinion. I have nothing to back that up with.
J. Allan Danelek is my guest of this hour, X-Zone Nation. His website is ourcuriousworld.com. He's got a new book out under Llewellyn's banner. It's Ghosts Explained, and it's available at llewellyn.com and online stores everywhere. This is the X-Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. Jeff and I return on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
With a dream in my hand, built a life one page at a time, one show across the land. Every road I've traveled, every challenge I've faced, left another chapter that time could never erase. Every dream begins with a single spark of light, and every mountain conquered starts with one more fight. My name is Rob McConnell. This is who I am, an author writing stories with a purpose and a plan, a musician finding melodies that lift the human soul, a broadcaster bringing voices where the curious gather. The warning in the smoke. There's a red glow rising in the northern sky, ash upon the wind and thunder rolling by. From the ancient forests to the city streets, we can feel the fire, we can feel the heat. Smoke crosses borders, clouds the noonday sun, telling every nation we must stand as one. Is it only nature or a warning spoke? Can we hear the message hidden in the smoke? First came the water, now we're facing flame. Will we turn away or finally accept the blame? Canada is burning, America awake.
And welcome back. Jeff, yeah, I understand you've also studied the afterlife. And based on your research and the books you've done and the interviews you've done, what do you think happens after we die?
Well, that's the million-dollar question there, isn't it? I believe that we create our own reality on the other side. So whatever you believe when you die, if you expect to see God or heaven or something like that, I believe that you will actually create that or manifest that reality to you. So I think that when you do pass, that unless you decide to become a ghost and just kind of be stuck here on this plane, that you do just enter into a realm of peace and light, and no judgment, but you do have a life review. I think that you do sit through kind of a review of what you did on this planet while you were here, both the good and the bad. And it's not a judgment; it's just kind of a report on how it went, and you actually feel what other people felt from you. So if you gave out love, you feel that love back. If you gave out a lot of anger and nastiness, you feel that. It's kind of up to you.
How did you come to that conclusion or that hypothesis?
Well, a lot of the NDEs seem to move in that direction. They noticed that people who were, say, strong Christians tended to see Jesus, and people who were atheists, like never saw Jesus. So it really seemed to be whatever it was that you tended to believe before you passed. It's like Muslims, for example, they will see Muhammad or Allah, and scientific people, they just have maybe a presence around them. They don't really identify it as a deity. So that's where I got most of that from. It seems to be very consistent through a lot of reports.
Jeff, I'm going back. I've been doing this show now for 36 years. And we were doing some research on past shows, and it seems that 36 years ago, near-death experiences weren't talked about a lot. What do you think changed everything?
I think that the whole culture has changed. I think people are much more open to these things now, where back in the 70s or 80s, if you talked about near-death experiences, people looked at you like you were nuts. And now it's so common that people don't even really think twice about it anymore. I think that just demonstrates kind of a type of spiritual maturity that the world is going through, that they're more open to these things than they used to be.
Could it be the thirst of people to want to believe there's more to this existence, that life goes on after death?
Well, that's always the old scientific argument, is that you're creating this afterlife because you fear death. You don't want to be extinct. However, I thought about that, and I thought, the fact that we desire to be immortal is no different than is the desire to be loved or to be wealthy. All the things that we desire, that we wish for, actually do exist in reality. So I don't know why immortality would not be on the list.
How do you balance being open-minded with maintaining critical thinking when researching such topics?
Well, I'm aware of the fact that people have extraordinarily good imaginations, or they exaggerate or things like that. And there are people out there who are just having fun. They want to hoax you. So I'm always very careful with the stories they tell me. So when I'm listening to someone or I'm researching it, it's not just a question of their story. It's how do I feel about them personally? Do they strike me as being authentic? Do they strike me as being someone who's prone to imagining things? And you just kind of work it instinctively. You just kind of trust your gut instincts, if you will.
You've written and researched about demons and the darker side of the paranormal. Do you think that malevolent entities truly exist and that there is such a thing as demons and demonic possession?
Well, I believe there are all kinds of entities on the other side. Some of them are malevolent, or they're just on a very low vibrational frequency, which we would call evil. I don't think that there are demons in the sense of the Bible, where it's talking about these legions that are led by Satan and all these sort of things. But I do believe that there are lower energy entities out there that thrive on fear. So their goal is to make us afraid so they can kind of feast on that.
You know, I've always believed that existence is a binary existence, zeros and ones. For example, you've got good and you've got bad. You've got up, you've got down, you've got in, you've got out, you've got, you know, dog, cat, and the examples go on and on and on. Is it possible that we needed to create a negative, darker side to explain the bright and beautiful side?
Well, we do live in a world of contrast. You can't have good without bad, or hot without cold. So I don't know if it's something that we've created or if it's just a way of trying to explain why these things happen. I do think people tend to blame the paranormal for a lot of human wickedness instead of taking responsibility for it. But for the most part, I think it is a real thing that's out there, and you just got to be careful with it. Though, if you are living in kind of an enlightened state, it's usually not much of a danger to you.
But what happens if we're wrong? What happens if we're just living or existing in a construct, and that reality is just a way that time passes, and that once we're gone, goodbye?
Well, I'm okay with that. Really, if I pass and I have no conscious memory after that, I'm not going to know it, right? I'm not going to think, oh, gee, I was wrong. I should have figured this out, because it's just like, where were you before you were born?
Mm-hmm.
Things were going on for billions of years in this universe,
Yeah.
before any of us were even conceived, and we were fine then. So if someday we're done and there's nothing out there, we're not going to know it. So I don't worry about it.
It reminds me of that old TV show that was my favorite. Do you remember? It was called Married with Children, and it had Al Bundy as the male character and his wife, and they had two kids. And one of his kids, I think it was Bud, his son, said, "Dad, where do children come from?" And Al Bundy looked and he said, "Two horny kids in a six-pack."
Well, yeah, he nailed it, didn't he?
Yeah. No, he nailed her. Oh.
Uh-oh.
How we go down the hill sometimes when you're on the show, Jeff.
Got
Thank
that
you.
out of there, boy.
Yeah. What's the most puzzling or baffling case you've ever researched?
In regards to what?
Out of them all. Out of all the cases of the paranormal, Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, what has been the case that just puzzled you, baffled you, that you just throw your hands up and say, "I don't know. I don't get it."
Yeah. Well, beyond the Romanak thing,
Yeah.
I think that I'm fascinated with Bigfoot. I think that the Gimlin film, the Patterson Gimlin film, is a source of constant fascination to me, and I see this bandied around back and forth. In fact, I have a YouTube channel, and I did one on the Patterson film, and that got like more hits than all my other videos combined. So there's people out there that are really interested in this stuff.
But why?
I don't know. I think it's because, first of all, it's a local phenomenon. It's something that's happening in the United States and Canada pretty commonly. So it's not like it's something that's, in some foreign land. But I think it's also something that it's kind of almost a primordial fear we have of something in the woods. There's something out there watching me. And Bigfoot just really fits the bill for that. And so I just think that people, even if they're not really into Bigfoot, I still think they have an interest in it just because it's such like a boogeyman to them. And they just want to kind of know if there's really something like that out there.
But wouldn't you think by now there would be proof of the existence of Bigfoot that could not be disputed? Like there'd be a dead cadaver somewhere. We'd be able to scrape DNA off and get proof positive that this is Bigfoot. But even with all today's technology, tracking devices, cameras, and webcams all over the place, trail cams, nothing. What does that tell us about Bigfoot?
Well, I think it tells you that we're not dealing with an animal here. We're dealing with something more like a human, a primordial human. And a human is, if you give it the capabilities of an animal, all this, and the intelligence of a human, you're not going to find the thing very easily. I mean, there have been a lot of videos taking, and there's audio recordings of it and things of this nature. There's thousands of eyewitness reports, but this thing is very, very clever. And I do think that we're getting close to getting that evidence. I think you're gonna catch some drone footage here at some point, or something like that. That's going to be much more difficult to dispute. The other problem, of course, is that because of AI and Photoshop and all these different things that we can manipulate things with, it's going to be much more difficult. You're right. Someone's going to have to bring in a body or part of a body at some point. But do these things, do they cannibalize their dead? Do they bury them? We don't know.
One day we hope to find out, don't we, Jeff?
I plan to. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I'll be right beside you. I'll be the big guy on your right-hand side saying, you were right. Get the book going, Jeff.
Yeah, see, I don't have to outrun Bigfoot. I just have to outrun you.
Jeff Danelek, stand by, my friend. J. Allan Danelek's our guest this hour, Exonation, www.ourcuriousworld.com. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone on the CanCom Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM. And they stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. Don't go away.
Will we turn away or finally accept the blame? Canada is burning, America awake. How many more alarms will humanity forsake? This may not be judgment, this may not be the end, but the warning in the smoke says it's time to make amends before the final force falls.
There's a whisper in the silence when the final breath is near. A gentle hand beside you, calming every fear. The room grows soft with shadows as the earthly chains grow light. And somewhere in the distance burns a warm eternal light. Beyond the veil, beyond the night, past the sorrow into the light. Guiding spirits softly call. No one ever walks alone at all. Through the doorway, hearts set free. Past what was to what will be. Beyond the veil, we all must go. To the great unknown.
J. Allan Danelek's my guest. And Jeff, thanks very much for joining us tonight. Always a great pleasure. And congratulations on your new book. And it is entitled Exonation, Ghosts Explained. It's published by Llewellyn and available on all online bookstores. Something that my producer brought up during this short break we just had is that it seems prior to Star Wars and what was the name of the Bigfoot thing there? Chewbacca?
Yeah, there's Chewbacca.
There were very few Bigfoot sightings.
Well, and we are encroaching on their territory. So you would think that as we move into the forests a little bit, you're probably going to encounter them more and more.
I hope so, because I would love to know that all these people who've made these reports were actually seeing something and that Bigfoot does exist. Just like I would love for the day where extraterrestrials are proven to be a reality, as well as UFOs and the other mysteries that you write about, Jeff, because humanity deserves to be right. We get so many things wrong. It's about time we get things right.
Yeah, you accidentally get something right, So I'm just saying that, hey, anybody out there who does see Bigfoot, just remember one thing is don't scream like a girl and run off when you see it, because, stay and take the picture.
And then send it to Jeff at Your Curious World, ourcuriousworld.com.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll take a look at it.
You're a charlatan at heart, you know that, right?
Possibly.
But I respect you, Jeff. I respect you. In your opinion, Jeff, what role does consciousness play in the paranormal?
Well, consciousness is what gives you the ability to perceive it. Without this ability to kind of look into ourselves and think about our place on this planet, we don't really have the ability to ponder these kinds of deeper questions. That's why you're not going to talk about the paranormal much with a goat or a cow. They just don't have that capability. But
I don't know about that. No, what about cattle mutilations? Excuse me, Mr. Cow, what happened to you there?
Well, my main suspect are the other cows.
Ah, you see.
Nobody ever thinks about that. They just assume the cows are all innocent.
That's right, but my question is, how would the cow hold the laser that people say are responsible for the very intricate surgical lines that they find on cattle that have been mutilated? And here's a further question. If, in fact, laser beams were used, is that mutilation or surgical exactness?
Well, if you ever had a bad doctor do a botched operation, yeah, it's mutilation.
Yeah, that's true. All right, scrub that one.
The cows are much more clever than we think they are.
Jeff, I'm not going to touch that one. No way. No way.
More dangerous.
More dangerous, that's right. How do you respond to skeptics who say all paranormal experiences can be dismissed as misinterpretations?
I say, welcome to your opinion. I'll be glad to have a debate with you about it if you want to talk about it reasonably. But if someone isn't convinced that this is true, you're not going to probably talk them into it. They're going to have their own experiences, or something's going to have to happen where it kind of shakes them up a little bit. That's why I like ghosts, because people who see a ghost, they said, I didn't believe in ghosts, and then all of a sudden there was one in front of me, and now I believe in them.
How many people do you think are actually witness to a ghost when they're a skeptic?
Oh, I think that probably the majority of people who actually encounter a ghost either didn't think about it beforehand or didn't believe it beforehand. Now, people who go on ghost hunts and things like that obviously are a different group.
Or are they ever?
The average person who runs into a ghost was just someone cleaning up after work or walking through the house without expecting to encounter something like that. So I think a big percentage of people who see a ghost are very, very surprised by it.
I was watching a movie last night called Ghosted with Ricky Gervais. It's a hell of a good movie. It's funny, but it's good. It brings a question: can certain people actually see ghosts, communicate with ghosts at all times, and how does the reality change having this ability?
Well, I do believe that anybody can really communicate with the paranormal if they really try hard. It takes some work. You have to kind of develop those abilities. There are people who have done that where they weren't born with the natural ability to perceive these energies, but they developed them over time. It just takes a lot of work, and to me, it's more work than it's worth, but there are people who do it all the time, so it can be done.
Jeff, if you could solve only one mystery conclusively, which one would it be and why?
How did Donald Trump get a second term? But
I've tried to be so good this hour. I have tried so hard.
There's no way to answer that mystery.
Oh, yes, there is. Oh, yes, there is.
Well, what is it?
Oh, You got a lot of rednecks that get drunk a lot, and that forms MAGA and a number of the Republicans out there.
That's right. But hey, we'll see what happens here. I'm looking forward to November.
Well, here in Canada, we're looking to see what happens at Friday night going into Saturday with all these tariffs that are supposed to be under negotiation. It's funny because he came out today and he said, "We've got a deal." And our prime minister said, "No, we don't."
Where have I heard that before? That sounds familiar.
It does. It does, doesn't it? It seems to, what do they call it? Taco?
Taco, yeah.
What's that for?
Yeah.
Trump?
Yeah. But to answer your question seriously, I think the one I would like to see solved the most is the extraterrestrial question. I think that would have the greatest, most profound impact on the planet. And I think that would be the one that I would like to see solved.
That would be that is the number one. I have to agree with you there. But do you think that there's actually reverse engineering going on from extraterrestrial craft, or deals that have been made with the U.S. government to work with the aliens so that they can abduct and dissect humans?
Okay, let's think about it for a second. If you have the technology to cross the vast distances of space, your technology is going to be so far ahead of us that we could capture a disk and have no idea of how it works. Just like dropping off a modern nuclear submarine with the best scientists of the 19th century, they're not going to have a clue what to do with it or how it even works. So no, I don't believe that there's reverse technology. I just believe that we're just pretty smart. Sometimes we just come up with these things over many, many years of experimentation.
Jeff, do you think that the U.S. government or other governments of the world are actually suppressing the information pertaining to the existence of extraterrestrials and ET contact?
I think that there is a concerted effort to keep quiet about it just for your own career good, the best of your career. But I don't know if there's a concerted effort. I also believe that the government actually lets people believe that there's UFOs while they're testing top secret military equipment, because it's actually a way of covering it up. But no, I don't believe there's a government out there that's actually in communication with these people. If they were communicating with anybody, they'd be talking to various scientists and physicists, people like that.
I've always had the opinion that if there is a government conspiracy, okay, and let's say somewhere on a database in the security of the Pentagon lies this information, that enemies of the United States would try their darndest to break into that, get all the information about Roswell and other UFO encounters, extraterrestrial abductions, and so on, and then present it to the public, because that would show the government had been lying. And they don't have to do that anymore. All they need to do is turn on Fox or CNN, and you can get that information.
That's right. Yeah, I just don't think any government is competent enough to keep this covered up for this many years. It's going to fall apart fairly quickly. Even the Manhattan Project, which was huge security, the Germans still knew we were doing something. They just didn't know exactly how far along we were. But even that was out there within months of the start of the program. So I just don't think you're going to be able to keep that a secret.
I guess my final question for you tonight, my good friend, because we're coming down about a minute and a half right now, was what advice do you give people who want to explore the unexplained responsibly?
Well, I always tell them just keep an open mind, really double check everything, fact check everything. Don't take anything for granted, and really get kind of a sense for the person you're talking to. Don't listen just to their story, but kind of get their backstory and see see if you can gauge what kind of a person they are. But just do your research, and not just one author or one group, but try to expand it beyond that one little bubble, and try to get as much information about it as you can.
Jeff, congratulations on another book, Ghosts Explained, by our friends at Llewellyn. Please give my best to Kat when you're speaking to her.
I will.
And as always, I look forward to the next time you're with us, Jeff. And just just keep on going, my friend, because you are one of the very few people out there who do what you do as an author and as a researcher very responsibly, and I respect you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And hey, I really liked your music.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Take care of yourself. And Exxon Nation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, J. Allan Danelek, as he likes to be called, especially on checks that you can write him, visit www.ourcuriousworld.com, where you can find out other great books that Jeff has written. So that's it for this hour, Exxon Nation. I will be back on the other side of this short break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the CanCom Broadcast Network and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca.
There's a whisper in the silence when the final breath is near, a gentle hand beside you, calming every fear. The room grows soft with shadows as the earthly chains grow light, and somewhere